What you notice, don't you major, what you get, what you did, what you
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Boxes and Elbows. Today is an action packed episode, so why don't you do me a favor and drop a follow on the podcast? Go subscribe to my YouTube channel, Mr. Allen, no caps, and yeah, go support this podcast. You know, I've gotten a lot of love recently, and the views are starting to go up, and the support has just been insane, and it's only the beginning. So if you want to support in any way, go follow and subscribe. Now, today's episode is about ranking the top 10 centers, but I have a few more things after that. We're doing a tier list for watchable teams next year, watchability, should I say. And basically, this is a tier list based on what teams I would watch mostly during the season and what teams I would just not even pay attention to for majority of this season because they're either going to be bad or not a fun watch. And some teams up here are going to be bad, but they might be a fun watch because they have exciting players and rosters. And yeah, that's the tier list for today. I think I'm going to do more tier lists because honestly, they're kind of fun. I've seen them all across like social media. And a lot of people in the basketball community, especially, have a lot of different interesting tier lists that I'm not going to copy, but I can make some of my own. And this is kind of a staple one, but it's more of a personal one because a lot of people have different opinions on different teams and what they view as fun. So we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna get into some WNBA talk because why not? I feel like I haven't done. I feel like I've done more WNBA coverage on like social media in general and not on this podcast, and so we're gonna do that. Then ESPN released an article about what they've learned about every team in the NBA after this offseason. And I think it's an interesting article to go through, so we're going to do that as well. But I shaved my hair. Yes, I did. I did indeed shave my hair. For you audio listeners, you might want to check out the YouTube videos. And yeah, because I did indeed get my hair cut down to kind of a. So here's the thing. The barber asked if I wanted a low taper fade, and I was like, bro, not this, bro. Not in 2026. Why are you asking me that? But then I realized it was a legit question because sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. And so my mind went from meme into like a second and then reality. But yeah, we're just going to start with the ranking top 10 centers in the NBA. Now, this list could be a little wonky because some of these players just haven't played the full season and I'm not gonna not put them on the list for that. Just because I think some of these players' talents just over over I don't know what the word is, but like their talent overmatches their availability and availability wow. Availability is very important in this league, especially since we saw the Knicks make a run to the championship and win it because they were fully healthy, and a team like OKC didn't win it because they weren't healthy. So availability and health is absolutely important. I'm not going to knock that, but it doesn't play a role in this list. And I also want to start off this episode by apologizing to Evan Mobley. I am very sorry, Evan Mobley. I left you out on the top 10 power forwards list. I don't know how I did that. There's no excuses. You were a top 10 power forward. And just because I didn't like how your aggression was in the conference finals and kind of most of the playoffs, and honestly, most of his career, like I feel like his aggression and his skill level is should be at the same level, and they're just not, and it's been disappointing. But no excuse. He definitely is a top 10 power forward, and I apologize for that. I I went through the list like after I did the episode and I was like, I feel like I'm missing somebody. And then I realized I was like, Evan Mobley? Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley. Oh my God, how could I, you know, miss out on that? And I was very disappointed in myself because I pride myself on knowing the game and doing my research, of course, and watching basketball. And the fact that I had Laurie Markkinen, and Aaron Gordon ahead of Evan Mobley is kind of insane. Now, Evan Mobley probably would have been like around like five for power forwards, um, just because of his defense alone. Like his defense is insane. He won a DPOY, which unfortunately he won't win anymore because of Wemby. But to get one is still really, really impressive. And I also realized that I had Jalen Johnson below Paolo Banchero, which is definitely wrong. I think Banchero has more potential than Jalen Johnson, and Banchero might be a better scorer. And honestly, the playmaking of Jalen Johnson is insane, but like Paolo can have a playmaking jump still when he has the ball in his hands a lot, and he already does make decisions. And so they're not far off in that either. But if you ask me today, what is today? August 6th. Who is the better player? I would say Jalen Johnson. But that could change next year, and Paul could go crazy and lead the Magic to like a top four seed in the East. Definitely can happen. But yeah, enough jibber jabber about the power forwards list. If you want to check that out, I did an episode ranking the top 10 power forwards, of course. And yeah, let me know if you agree with that list because I don't even agree with my own list, apparently. Um, So yeah, we're just gonna go right into it. At number 10 for top 10 centers in the NBA, I had Jarrett Allen. Might be a little high-ish for Jarrett Allen, mostly because he doesn't really have an offensive game like at all. Like I do like the fact that he added the floater when he got to like in the later stages in Brooklyn and in Cleveland. So he does have that. And he does do the hook like occasionally, but if we're looking for complete offensive production, you're not really getting that. Like that's why they kind of stagger the minutes with him and Mobley cuz them on the floor together it's really good. The minutes are really good. But it's also better to just stagger because Mobley can play the 5 and you're getting more offensive production from him at the 5 position than Allen would. And it's no surprise that Allen was on the trade block. So like if they had to pick one, it'd obviously be Mobley, like no question. Um, but yeah, he still had a really good season last year. Let me pull up the stats. He still averaged 13, 7 rebounds is not a lot for a guy as tall as him. And 1.7 blocks, which is really good. 64% from the field. And his free throw percentage is not that great. And I feel like he has a better like touch around the rim than a lot of these other centers. For him to shoot 58% from the free throw line is kind of crazy. His form is also just really like solid. Like I don't really think he could change much with his form. I guess he just overshoots it. I mean, in the Knicks series, I think it what was it game? Oh, it was game one when they were down. The Knicks were down 22 and they came back. Allen missed 2 key free throws, so there's that as well. Like he's not gonna be a clutch free throw shooter either. But the playoffs really stamped him. He had a really solid playoff run. He averaged 15 and 9, and his free throw percentage. There we go. It went up 71% at the free throw line, and right around 64% from the field again. And his blocks went down, but I think that's because um, during the regular season, like Mobley missed time and Allen also missed time, so their stats kind of are like reversed, kind of and inflated. But when in the postseason, they both play together, so naturally Jared Allen's like blocks and stuff like that's gonna go down. But yeah, no, especially in the the second round against Detroit, he was amazing. And even game 7 against the Raptors, he was amazing. Yeah, like 22 and 20 rebounds. And then he followed that with a great series against the Pistons where, he absolutely just dominated Jalen Duren, who is on this list, but my God, that was a bad playoff run for him. But we'll get to him in a minute. Um, but yeah, he really like asserted himself as the center we wanted to see uh, in the playoffs, and then against the Knicks, like I give not a pass, no excuse because they got swept, but at the same time, none of the Cavs players' stats are going to be good, except for like Donovan Mitchell, but like Jared Allen didn't have a good series against the Knicks because I guess the lights were too bright for him. If you know, you know. Evan Mobley had an okay series, but not a great series. James Harden had a shit series, but the farther you get into the playoffs with James Harden, the more shit he becomes. So there's no surprise there. Um, but yeah, he really impressed me with that series against Detroit. So he deserves to be top 10. Number 9 is probably one of the best defensive centers we have in our league for the past like 10 years, excluding like Wemby, of course. Rudy Gobert is number 9. And the reason why this might be a little low for Gobert, but at the same time, the centers above him are just better and more skilled, especially offensively. Gobert is just like, my God, he's bad offensively. But his on off numbers defensively are absolutely nuts. Like him and Wemby, their on and off defensive numbers are like the team, like the Wolves and the Spurs would be like top 4 or 5 in defense with those two on the court, and then without them, they're like a bottom like 10 defense. Actually, I wouldn't go that far. The Spurs still have good defenders, and the Wolves do too. But you know what I mean. Like their on and off numbers are absolutely insane. And what really impressed me was the series against the Nuggets in this past postseason, where he basically just flat out dominated Jokic. Jokic could not do anything with Rudy Gobert as his defender, and honestly, he's been doing that against Jokic, not in the regular season because Jokic gives him work in the regular season, but the past 2 times they met in the postseason, the Wolves won in Game 7 3 years ago, and they just won in 6 games last year. And both times, Rudy Gobert has just looked great defensively against Jokic. Jokic cannot get off his little floaters, cannot really get to his spots in the paint. And it's mostly because Gobert is strong and tall, and he's not super athletic, but his defensive like instincts are just absolutely insane. And so definitely deserves number 9. Now against the Spurs, against Wemby, Gobert just, was overmatched. And Wemby's a little different breed than Jokic because Wemby offensively doesn't really have like a post game. So Rudy Gobert is going to have to move his feet. And like Jokic, Rudy Gobert could just kind of camp the paint a little bit and maybe extend Jokic, but like Jokic isn't driving on Gobert. Wemby would drive on you. Wemby will shoot threes, a lot of threes, more than he definitely should. And just their styles offensively are just, I wouldn't say completely different, but defending Jokic is super hard. I'm not going to deny that. But defending Wemby is just different. And for a guy like Gobert, who is not, he's kind of slow footed. So is Wemby, but like, y'all know what I mean. Like, him against Wemby, it was just GG's. I felt like, it's funny because it felt like he used all of his superpowers against Jokic, and then he ran out of gas against Wemby. Um, but yeah, Rudy Gobert is number 9. Number 8, I really regret putting him at number 8 because I just do not like his game in general. And he's like, oh my God, like his game and kind of his attitude just rubs me the wrong way. Şengün is number 8. Um, little, probably a little low for Şengün, But if you guys hear the names I have above Shingun, then you'll be like, okay, this is like a perfect spot for Shingun. Offensively, he's still gonna give you 20. Let's see his stats. Yeah, he's gonna give you 20 and 9, 52% from the field. Um, Kind of low. Um, in the playoffs, still gave you 20 and 10, but the field goal percentage went down a lot, and he was just very disappointing in the series against the Lakers. Um, as soon as like we knew KD was gonna be out, it was like, okay, perfect opportunity for Shengun to absolutely just dominate Aiton, and B, to be arguably the best player on the floor other than like LeBron, because Austin Reeves was also out. And so you were like, okay, this is a series where Shingun can really, you know, impact the game and be the best player in a series. And he just did not do that. And it was very disappointing. The whole Rockets team was just disappointing in general. Um, and yeah, 51% and 47% in the playoffs, just awful, especially for a guy who gets a lot of touches around the rim. Like his post game is great sometimes, and then it's really bad. Like he needs to get in the gym with like, I don't know, like Hakeem or something to like develop a smooth post game. Like his post game is like it's like a rough watch most of the time. And another center that shoots below 70% from the free throw line. Actually, he shot identical at the free throw line during the regular season and the playoffs. Looking at his stats, yeah, no, it's crazy. Yeah, I just don't like Shengun as a player. Like he's not my favorite player. My favorite player in the Rockets would probably be Amen Thompson, low key. Like I just feel like he's always just gonna be who he is, and he's not gonna. Amen Thompson's bad is probably still more impactful than Shingun's bad, if you know what I mean. Like when Shingun is bad, it's like really bad. When Amen Thompson is bad, at least you know you're gonna get elite defense. That is like the bare minimum for him. 82 games, every game that he plays in the playoffs, like you just know that's gonna be, and that impact is already like felt. Whereas Shingun, when he's bad, he pouts at the refs, looking for a foul call every time he shoots the ball. Ime Udoka takes him off the floor sometimes because it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like his IQ sometimes is questionable. It's like I don't even want to spend time talking about Shingun. Not gonna lie. Hopefully he has a bounce back season. I'm praying that he has a bounce back season because the Rockets are gonna need it, especially with Kevin Durant being a year older and Fred coming back but on a major surgery. So we don't know what the Rockets team is gonna look like next year. Need Shingo to be on his A game all season long. Number 7, although he was All NBA last year, he is still not better than the guys above him, Jalen Duren. And the postseason was just absolutely trash. Like I remember in the Magic series, they were down 3-1. I was like, maybe the Magic is just a better team. And even if the Pistons do come back, it doesn't feel like well deserved for them. But then the way they started to come back, in Game 5 when Cade and Paolo were going, bucket for bucket, which was an insane game, and the Pistons outlasted the Magic. And I was like, okay, Jalen Duren, this, the momentum's back on your side a little bit. Come on, we want to see something. Like, we want to see you just be better than what you are. Like, we don't even need to see like super duper regular season Jalen Duren when he was averaging like 20 and 10. We don't need that. We just need you to score 15 points. He couldn't even do that. His playoff averages are nasty. He averaged 10 points, 9 rebounds, 51% from the field for a guy who only he does not shoot jumpers, mid range. but 51% for a guy who dunks and lays the ball up, like 80% of his shots are around the rim, probably more than that, like 93% of his shots are around the rim, and he's shooting 51% from the field in the playoffs. Just absolutely nasty, bro. And it's not like he was hurt. He wasn't laboring on anything. He was still playing 30 minutes a game. He was still, he needed to be relied on down the stretch of games, and he just wasn't that. And it was very disappointing. And now he's in a standstill with the Pistons for as far as contracts. Like I could probably look it up right now, and there's probably no progression on a contract, and he's probably gonna end up taking the qualifying offer for around like 20 million or something like that, and then he's gonna have to test free agency again. And I pray to God, like he has a good playoffs because they're gonna see he may have another really good regular season next year, but if he shits the bed in the playoffs again, it's gonna be 2 or 3 years in a row where it's like your numbers just consistently drop off in the playoffs. And for a guy who's 22, it's like, yeah, you're young, but at the same time, you guys start showing results. Like, Cade Cunningham is also young. He's shown results. He may not be like Cade in playoff series can go either way. Like, in the Magic series, didn't start off great, and then he ended up, carrying them to the 3-1 comeback and whatnot. So that's already a hot and cold series. And then against the Cavs, when you needed him the most in Game 7 on your home floor, he just flat out disappeared. And Tobias Harris was arguably your best player sometimes in both of those series. And it's like, bro, you just made All NBA, and you want $40 million, and you average 10 points in the playoffs. Like, that's just not gonna fly. And yeah, he's defensively, Jalen Duran was great in the playoffs. Like, he averaged 1.2 blocks. He was rebounding the ball still pretty well. His paint defense against like Ben Carroll and the Magic, who like to drive, was amazing. And then on the offensive side, it was like you got nothing. And there were games where he would literally like sit in the fourth quarter, and Paul Reed and Isaiah Stewart would close games. And it's like, if you're the Pistons, like, yeah, you can do that because you have those guys. But at the same time, you want your All NBA player to be on the floor in crunch time. And a major letdown by JB Bickerstaff. Like, Bickerstaff coached his ass off during the regular season, and to some degree in the playoffs, even though he was getting, outworked by Jamal Mosley in that series until like Game 6 when a flip switched. But yeah, no, he was. I don't think the Pistons lost because of JB Bickerstaff and his decisions. I think they lost because his players let him down. Cade let him down in Game 7, and Jalen Duren just let him down the entire playoffs. And Jalen Duren can, rise up this list if he has a good playoff series. Like, if All NBA Jalen Duren shows up in the playoffs, they they beat the Cavs. They don't even go to Game 7 against the Magic, and they make a competitive series against the Knicks. Like, I don't know. Number 6 is kind of, you might be confused, and I will explain. But I have Zubac at number 6. He's still just so good. He had an All NBA season last or 2 years ago with the Clippers, and that was when James Harden flamed out in the playoffs again, and they got blown out in Game 7 against the Nuggets. Defensively, still great. We didn't get to see him in the playoffs because he got traded to the Pacers, and then in March he fractured his rib, so he wasn't even gonna play the last like 2 months of the season basically. And I think he's still really good offensively. I think he can improve a little more, especially on this Pacers team where they're gonna be running the floor a lot, and transition Zubac is not that great, but offensively he's still gonna give you 18. Uh, let's see, what did he give you? 14 and 10, but like 14-10 is not the greatest of like numbers for to be like a top six center in the league. Uh, but you know, like the season against the Clippers, or the season with the Clippers is the one I'm gonna stick with because that is the most recent version of Zubats that we saw on a consistent basis. And I think he can translate a lot of that to the Pacers. And objectively, he is better than Miles Turner. Like, even when Miles Turner was pretty good with the Pacers, when they made the finals and the conference finals the year before, Zubac is still going to be better than that. And it's a different look, too, because now in the half court, Miles Turner always loves to pick and pop. Zubas can actually run pick and rolls with Tyrese Halliburton and be a dynamic roller. And we saw that with James Harden. As soon as James Harden got there to the Clippers, Zubac's numbers instantly like skyrocketed. And we're going to see that with Tyrese Halliburton. So he'll have a really good year with the Pacers. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Pacers are in like a competitive second round against the Knicks or something like that, or even conference finals against the Knicks or 76ers or any East team, really, because the East is kind of stacked now. But yeah, I think he deserved to be above Jalen Duren based on Jalen Duren's flame out in the playoffs. At number 5 is where Bam. I don't know how people pronounce his name wrong. Bam Adebayo. Like, it's not Adebayo, like Perkins says. It's not Adebayo. Uh, Adebadu. Like, I just don't understand how it's so hard to pronounce his name. But Bam is number 5. He's a top 5 center in the NBA. Next to Giannis, he's gonna look great defensively, offensively. The fit there is gonna be questionable because that spacing between him and Giannis is gonna be like kind of nasty. But if anybody can figure out, I think it's Eric Spoelstra. And Bam is the most, other than like Wemby and a lot of the wings in the NBA, but like Bam is like the most versatile defender where he can guard 1 through 5. He's quick on his feet. Um, and he's still gonna give you 20 and 10. The field goal percentage last year in the regular season was kind of not great. In fact, offensively last year, even though he did average 20 and 10, it wasn't like a great offensive season for Bam. Oh my God, he scored 83 points. Wow. We're going to milk that for the rest of his career, probably. Um, that's not what I'm talking about. He did score 83 points in a game. So, yes. Like, get over it. Um, Offensively, other than that one game, um, it was a really disappointing, like, literally that 83-point game probably, if I had to guess, boosted his points per game average by like probably 1 or 2 points. So he's really an 18 point per game like scorer, which not that's 2 points. Like that's just a dunk or a layup. But just in regards to his disappointing offensive season, we didn't see aggression. It just looked like games where he would just not even like shoot well around the rim, wouldn't even go to the rim. He would just fade away for jump shots. And I mean, I guess he's gonna do more of that with Giannis on his team now, and hopefully he's more efficient because 45% for your center is kind of just disgusting. And Bam didn't start taking threes until like last year, or 2 years ago, whatever. And so I bet this was like a career year in threes for him. Uh, and he does know how to get to the free throw line. That is like one of his skills as well. And he doesn't like. I know people are gonna say the 34 free throws or whatever against the Wizards, which the Wizards could have just stopped fouling at that point. But Bam doesn't like. Oh, sorry about that. Bam doesn't sell calls like Shea does. Like Bam will actually go up and try to make the shot. Um, and yeah, will he draw fouls? Yeah, but he doesn't like foul bait like that. And the percentage from the field is like really throwing me off because what do you mean he shot under 45% from the field for an entire regular season? It's not like a 5 game sample size. This is like Bam played 73 games last year, 32 minutes a game, and shot under 45% from the field. See, that's what I mean by offensive production. Like, I will repeat this, but your center shooting under 45% from the field is nasty. Like, genuinely. Like, I don't even care who you are. I don't care if you're, uh, who's it, like Cat, who shoots like, even Cat doesn't shoot that many threes, but like a center like that where he plays on the perimeter a lot. Bam does play on the perimeter a lot, but man, his playoff stats, he only played. Oh, I forgot when I did the research for this, because I have like a grid and like every player's like games played, minutes, points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, field goal percentage, and free throw percentage for the regular season and the playoffs. I had them different. So for the playoffs, I forgot that the play-in tournament doesn't count as uh, the playoffs, or it's like stats in general like don't really count. I guess like playing games just don't exist apparently. On Basketball Reference, on NBA.com for some reason, like as soon as the playing's over, they just like wipe the stats for whatever reason. I don't know why they do that. And it's unfortunate because Bam did get hurt in that playing game against the Hornets, where Lamelo tripped him, and I'd argue that if Bam played that entire game, the Heat probably would have won because Bam left the game in like third, fourth quarter, and yeah, they had Hero and Wiggins and whatnot come alive in fourth and OT. Would have been nice to also have Bam as well. Yeah, Bam is probably gonna sit around top five, probably for the rest of his career, honestly, unless because like these top four dudes are probably gonna be top four centers until their career ends because like I mean no surprise Jokic is on here and like on the list of top Jokic was top four in the NBA in 2030 according to Bleacher Report. So that means there's gonna be no fall off, which means he's probably gonna be top two on this list because I don't think he's ever gonna be above Wemby anymore as far as centers unless Wemby misses like a year or two again or has to retire because of the blood clots. Knock on wood. And Chris Bosh did tell him to keep on looking out for that, your health, doing the right things, medicine, taking care of his body because Chris Bosh would know he had blood clots once, got over it, and then the second time it took him out and he almost died. And Wemby is such a tall and freaky, like athletic, not athletic, but like, I don't know how to word it, but like Wemby is freakishly tall. There we go. And so he's at risk for a lot more injuries than a typical NBA player. And so he's going to have to take care of his body like and do more than let's say Şengün. Like Şengün's health regimen is going to be a lot more like simple than Wemby's. Um and so yeah, I just where did the conversation go? Oh yeah, Bam is not going to be probably not going to be top 4 ever. Um it's unfortunate though, but top 5 is still pretty good. And defensively, you know where you're going to get from Bam night in, night out. So that you don't have to worry about. Um, at number 4, I cannot put him at number 3. He has to be number 4. Embiid. I'm sorry, but I just personally think Cat is better than Embiid. Cat is number 3, but Embiid at number 4. And it's talent wise, Embiid is probably the best center on this list. Like, even Wemby, like as great as he is defensively and offensively, is still giving you really good production. Offensively, Embiid is like otherworldly, where it's like when he's on the floor, the 76ers are pretty much unbeatable when he's healthy and on the floor for a consistent amount of time. Whereas when he's off the floor, it's like the Sixers are like bad. Like we saw that year, 2 years ago, when Embiid missed pretty much the entire season. He only played 19 games, and the Sixers ended up getting VJ Edgecombe in the lottery. Uh, and so yeah, it's like Embiid's like the difference between Embiid playing and not playing is so great, but he hasn't played, so you have to factor that in. He did play 38 games last year, which is double the amount of games he played the previous year, which is insane. And he did play pretty much the entire playoffs except for I think he missed the first 4 games against the Celtics and then missed a game against the Knicks. And credit to him, he played through the appendectomy, which is no joke. That's basically them cutting open your stomach and fixing that up. Um, so he played through that and he was still really good. During the regular season, he still averaged in the limited time he played 32 minutes. I'm looking at the stats. He played 32 minutes, still averaged 27, 8 rebounds. Field goal percentage was down at 49%, which Embiid takes a lot of threes and mid-range shots. So he's never going to be above like 55% from the field, 85% from the free throw line. So in 38 games, he was still just that good. And so he's never not going to be like top five just for that alone. In the playoffs, Embiid averaged 24. Efficiency was down. Free throw percentage was down. Rebounds were down. And everything was just going to be down anyway because um, he was playing through, the appendectomy, and his knees also just weren't 100% either. And this is the first full, like, off-season training camp, whatever you want to call it, where he is actually, like, fully healthy. He's not dealing with anything. And, of course, it's when LeBron joins the team. Duh. Like, what, what a coincidence. And so that's good for him. So he's coming to the season fully 100% healthy. Nothing is wrong with him, which is great because we need a talent like Embiid in the league to just be healthy. Like when he's healthy, he's such a great player, and it just sucks that he's always dealing with something in the regular season and postseason. But like I said, talent wise, Embiid is probably number one, and he's at number four. And number three, like I said, I do have Cat. This playoff run absolutely boosted him, even though his numbers. I'm looking at his numbers, and they're not gonna jump out on the screen. Like he did only average 16 points per game, 11 rebounds, 5 assists. But it's one of those where the stats are one thing, but the eye test is another. And in Cat's case, the eye test supports that he was uh like probably top five in the entire playoffs as far as play goes. And it's crazy because in the finals, when we knew that the Knicks were gonna play the Spurs, it was like Wemby's probably gonna dominate the matchup against Cat. Like we know Cat's gonna provide some resistance, but Cat is just gonna get overmatched against Wemby, and it was actually quite the opposite. Cat in game two, Cat like straight up just like dominated Wemby, dunked on him, was just driving on him, pushing him around, rebounding over him. Wemby just absolutely looked lost in game two against the Knicks. And for the entire series, pretty much, other than that one game where Wemby had like 32, it wasn't like an overpowering Wemby series. Um, and yeah, I think the so here I want to break down that. Wow, I can't talk. I want to break down why the Spurs kind of lost, and I think the Spurs lost because in crunch time they were just absolutely ass. That's probably like the number one reason. But also throughout the entire playoffs, Wemby never had to really guard any center, um, like that he played against in the playoffs, and mostly the regular season too. Like in the first round against the Blazers, he's not guarding Klingon, and Klingon didn't even play that much. He doesn't have to guard Robert Williams because he's just pretty much a lob threat at most. And they didn't have really any other centers. Those were their two centers. That was their center rotation. So then you fast forward to the series against the Wolves. He doesn't have to guard Naz Reid really. He doesn't have to guard Rudy Gobert obviously. So his stamina and his like defense, he can just roam in the paint. Then against the Thunder, I think the Thunder did a bad job of pulling out Wemby in the perimeter because Chet can maybe not drive like Cat, but he can like force Wemby out of the paint a little bit. But for the most part, since Chet was just absolutely shell shocked against Wemby and his performance was anemic, didn't really have to guard Chet either, and Hartenstein obviously. And so the finals was the first like test and series where Wemby actually had to guard in the perimeter and couldn't roam in the paint, and so that was struggling for him. He struggled with that, and you could see in the at the end of the games too, when the game was close, and like against the Thunder, that game when they went to two overtimes, Wemby didn't like he looked gassed, but he didn't look gassed until like the very end of like the second overtime when they basically had the game at that point. But the first overtime and even fourth quarter, Wemby did not look gassed, and you know why? Because he didn't have to guard anybody. Now, fast forward to the Knicks when every game was close in the fourth quarter, and he actually had to guard Cat for the majority of the game. He looked gassed by the time the fourth quarter came, and the Spurs just couldn't close games. And so Cat was the only center who really put pressure on Wemby as a defender. And for that standpoint alone, he deserves to jump up the list. And talent wise, Cat is just a 3 level scorer. We saw him shoot in the mid range. We saw him shoot threes. Even when his three, like teams wouldn't allow him to shoot threes, like the Cavs, they in the first two games at least, they really like honed in on guarding Cat at the 3 point line and not letting him shoot threes. And so Cat, even the Hawks did this too, and so Cat really dove into his playmaking bag, and he was a facilitator. So he can facilitate. He averaged 5 assists in the playoffs, and his passes were really great. Rebounding, he's always a great rebounder. Pencil him in for 11 rebounds a game. If he has under 10 rebounds a game, it's like he probably got in foul trouble at that point. Foul trouble. Didn't get into foul trouble most of the playoffs. I think he only fouled out. Actually, I think the only game he fouled out was. No, he fouled out in game two against the Sixers, I think, because then they had to run with Huck Porty and Mitchell Robinson. Or maybe he didn't. I don't remember. I just know he fouled out in game five of the finals and he only had 2 points, which if they had lost the game, it would have been like, what the fuck, Cat? Like 2 points in a potential closeout game? Are you serious? But they still ended up winning that game, and it's credit to the Knicks for winning game five on the road when you know the Spurs are going to give it their all, and Cat only had 2 points and you still won that game. That's credit to them. Credit to Jalen Brunson for putting him on his back. But yeah, Cat is top three for sure, and he might stay. Actually, no. Embiid. If Embiid plays the whole season, he'll surpass Cat. Number two and number one is not really surprising. Jokic and Wemby. We already know offensively, Jokic is probably one of the best players in the league. Defensively, Wemby is the best defender in the league. So 1 and 2 combo at the center is insane, where you have the best offensive player and the best defensive player, and they're both centers. and their games are kind of completely different. Jokic, disappointing playoff series though. Not gonna lie, still averaged 26, 13, and 10. So 26 points, 13 rebounds, 10 assists in 6 games against the Wolves, but still just disappointing. Defensively, he was an absolute cone, and even Jaden McDaniels said like, yeah, we can just pretty much walk to the paint. Like they're all bad defenders over there, and he wasn't wrong. Um, and for under 45% from Jokic is like insane too, because he's usually super efficient. So that's a testament to Rudy Gobert's defense as well. Um, yeah, that's really all I can say about Jokic. Still probably gonna be top 5 in MVP every year until he retires. Same with Wemby. Wemby actually might win it next year. Probably the odds-on favorite to win it, if I had to guess. And yeah, Wemby in his third year in the league led his team to the finals. Like that's kind of insane. Um, and they'll probably be at least in the conference finals next year as well. So we're gonna see a lot more Wemby playoffs and Jokic. And I was kind of hoping the Nuggets would win that series against the Wolves so that we could see a Jokic versus Wemby playoff series. That would have absolutely fed families, but we didn't get to see it because Jokic flamed out. Um, and yeah, that's the top 10 center list. I need to drink some water because we are 45, 46 minutes in, and I've talked a lot, and I need to drink some water. But yeah, that's my top 10 center list. I don't think I left anybody off like I did with the power forwards list. And I feel like this is a perfect order, honestly. Like, I don't think anybody can move up or move down except for like Embiid. Embiid, Duran could move up. Um, I don't see Gobert moving up. Shingun, maybe, but it's like questionable. And then Wemby obviously can't move up because he's number one. And Jokic can't move up because of Wemby. Um, I'd say the only significant change would be like Cat and Embiid next year if Embiid plays the full season and the Sixers win the championship. Uh, and I remember there was an argument 2 or 3 years ago when Embiid won his MVP against Jokic, where it was like Embiid is better than Jokic, and then that conversation just kind of ended after Jokic won again. Um, yeah, now we're gonna get into the tier list. So I made a tier list with all NBA teams, and we're gonna rank them by watchability. Now, what this means is S tier. Hold on, let me pull out the list first. Oh, my camera is not here for some reason. Hold on. That's not YouTube listeners. Don't even. Why did I say YouTube listeners? YouTube audience members. Do not pay attention to what you just saw. Okay, let's just redo that because this is gonna end up being a YouTube video anyway. Um. All right, so I have a tier list of all 30 NBA teams, and we're gonna rank them by watchability. So what this means is S tier is going to be I'm gonna be tuning into not 82 of their games because I'm not gonna watch 82 games of every team, but I would tune into this team a lot during the regular season. And D being I will probably not tune in to any of these games for this team next season. And we're just gonna go in order of how I have them on here. I think actually I did it alphabetically because by the second the last initial of the team. So like the Blazers are number 2 because the 76ers, I guess they put numbers first. But 76ers are going to be S tier for me. And it's because LeBron James signed, of course. So they're going to be must-watch TV. Their talent is just they're overloaded and people are comparing them to the 2017 Warriors, and even KD was like, "Yeah, no, this team has more talent than the 17 Warriors," which I agree with, but also disagree with because like Steph, Clay, and KD and Draymond, like talent wise, they just like overmatched everybody. Like putting Steph and KD on the same team together, I think is way more dangerous than putting LeBron and Embiid on the same team. 41-year-old LeBron. If we were getting Miami Heat LeBron on this team, my God, this team would if we got Miami Heat on this team, or my if we got Miami Heat LeBron in this team, they just sweep. They might win 82 games, like genuinely. But yeah, I'm gonna be tuning into 76ers games, and I really hope they do play the Knicks opening night, because I'm obviously gonna tune into that because I'm a Knicks fan, and I'm gonna be, I wouldn't say hate watching, but every game I watch the Sixers and they lose, I wouldn't be mad. Let's just say that. Blazers, I would say with Dame coming back, and they're gonna be, I don't know how good the Blazers are gonna be. That's the question. Dame's coming back. Jaws on the team now. New coach Mike Nori. Um, kind of a weird team to rank, to be honest. Cause like yeah, Dame is super fun to watch, and Ja is like box office, but hasn't been box office in like 2 or 3 years now. So I'm not really sure. I think B tier would be appropriate for them, with the potential to be A tier if Dame comes back, and Dame time like immediately comes back and he's like, hitting game winners or whatnot, and Ja is like dunking again. The Bucks D tier. I'm probably gonna watch one or two Bucks games at the start of the season, and then I'm just not gonna watch. And I've said this before, but I think the Bucks are gonna be sellers during the season at the deadline. Gonna try to sell Miles Turner. Gonna try to sell Tyler Hero. I would imagine get some picks in there, and they're gonna be a ass team. Cavs, I would say A tier just because of Donovan Mitchell, and Evan Mobley. Don't know what James Harden is going to do this offseason because he still hasn't signed for whatever reason. And I think it's because the Cavs are one of the favorites to land Peyton Watson in a sign and trade. And so when James Harden declined his play option to provide more flexibility for LeBron, I think now that plan is pivoted to provide more flexibility for Peyton Watson, which would be a huge pickup for them. That's what I guess is why James Harden is stalling. And if they get Peyton Watson, they're still probably not going to be S tier, but A tier seems appropriate for this team. The Bulls, I think, would be B tier. Not gonna lie, I think they're gonna be a fun team to watch. I think Caleb Wilson is gonna be fun to watch. Norman Powell is an exciting, like, he's old, but he's also just really dynamic and exciting. He's not gonna dunk like he did on when he was on the Raptors, but he's still gonna be an electric player to watch. Josh Giddey is gonna push the tempo. He's gonna throw lobs to Buzelis, Caleb Wilson. I can already see it. Claxton, fun to watch player. Tiago Splitter is gonna have the Bulls at least competing in games. They may not win a lot of games because they're a young team, but they're gonna be a fun team to watch for sure. And Caleb Wilson is my guy in the draft, like the guy I have the most stock in, other than like Cam Boozer. Clippers C tier, not D tier because I feel like Darius Garland having a full season with this team. Keaton Wagler is gonna be cool to watch, and I still don't know what's going on with the Kawhi thing. Like that, absolutely insane that they haven't figured anything out. But I'm either way, if they have Brendan Ingram and I guess Grady Dick, whatever, but mostly Brendan Ingram. If they have Brendan Ingram on this team, still gonna be an all-star level talent. And then if they have Kawhi and he's gonna play, then they're still gonna be okay to watch. Like they're not gonna be the greatest team to watch, but either way, Grizzlies, I think the Grizzlies are in the same tier as Bulls. Like, they're not going to be a great team. They're not going to win a lot of games, but they have a lot of young talent with Cam Boozer, Zach Edey, Cedric Howard, Jalen Wells, even uh, Scottie Pippen Jr. is fun to watch. Who else? Ty Jerome. Even when he plays, he was hurt most last season, but when he played, he was really, really good. And I'm not too high on Thomas Cicelo as a coach. I just don't really like how he runs things. But coaching aside, they're going to be a really young, fun team to watch. And I'm really excited to see Cam Boozer next to Zach Edey. That front court is going to be really, really fun defensively and offensively. The Hawks, I would say B tier. The Hawks were kind of fun to watch in the playoffs. I mean, they did beat my Knicks 2 times, which is more than any other team did. And CJ was just really annoying against the Knicks. But from an outs, like, forget my Knicks fandom, the second half of the season, they were really cool to watch. But I just don't think they're on the same level as fun to watch as the Cavs. Because they don't have a Donovan Mitchell. Like, yeah, Jalen Johnson is cool. He was an all-star. Dyson Daniels is okay to watch, I guess. Although offensively, sometimes it can get ugly for him. CJ McCollum is older, but he can still do CJ things and close for you when you need. So the Hawks are gonna be in a lot of close games. And Nikhil Alexander Walker was really, really fun to watch last year for the entire season. And it kind of sucks that you didn't have a good playoff series against the Knicks, but it's whatever. Hornets, see if they had LaMelo, they would have been A tier, bro. But if they don't have a LaMelo anymore, and Kobe White's a fun guard to watch too, but he's not LaMelo. And like if anything, LaMelo's gonna contribute to the fun factor for a team, and I can't put them at A tier. Like they're gonna have to be B tier. Like they're borderline C tier to be honest, because I just think yeah, Nas Reed is a great pickup for them, and defensively that's gonna be a huge upgrade. From Miles Bridges, um, and even Miles Bridges as crazy as it is to say, he was still a fun player to watch. And on Phoenix, he's probably just gonna be fun to watch. Maybe not like my favorite player in the league, but still a fun watch. The Jazz could be, I think, B tier. Like they're again one of those teams with a lot of young talent with Darren Peterson, Keontae George, Laurie Markkinen's not even 30 yet, Jaren Jackson Jr., Ace Bailey, and so they're back-to-back years where they have a top 4 pick, and yeah, so they're gonna be fun to watch. And Keontae George had a breakout season last year, and he was really fun to watch, hitting game winners, really dynamic point guard, and so is Darren Peterson. So their backcourt is gonna be really amazing. Actually, Loki, I might be tuning into a. I forget that this is also like teams that I'm gonna be tuning into, and I'm gonna be tuning into a lot of Jazz games actually. So I put them in A tier. Kings D tier. They're the Sacramento Kings. Knicks S tier. I'm a Knicks fan. I'm gonna be watching every single Knicks game if I can help it. And they're still going to be contenders, still probably going to be a top 3 seed out east, so still contender. Lakers, A tier. I'm going to be watching Luka Doncic, going to be watching Austin Reeves, going to be watching Walker Kessler. JJ Redick is a coach that you can watch and be entertained sometimes just off of him alone with his antics. Orlando Magic. Am I going to be tuning into a lot of Orlando Magic games? Probably not. But like I said, their roster is still really good between Suggs, Bane, Franz, Bankero, and Carter Jr., that's still a really good starting five. And hopefully we get a healthy season from Franz and Ben Carroll. Because if we get a healthy season from those two, I'm going to be tuning into a lot more games. But not a guarantee. Mavericks, A tier. Cooper Flag, really, really good. Kyrie Irving is one of my favorite players in the league. Going to be tuning into a lot of Mavericks games. Heat, A tier. Giannis and Bam, I'm going to be tuning into a lot. A, to just see their fit together, and B, because they're also just going to be really good. And if anybody's going to figure out the spacing issue, like I mentioned earlier, it would be Expulstra. Brooklyn Nets, I would put at a C tier, and mostly because I will probably be going to not a lot of Brooklyn Nets games, but I'm going to be covering the Brooklyn Nets for media coverage, and the podcast, you're going to see a lot more Brooklyn Nets content. And it's not a paid, partnership, but I'm not even gonna spoil anything. Let's just say Brooklyn Nets are going to be a huge part of this podcast going to the next season, and I will be at a lot of Brooklyn Nets games in person. I'll just say that. Nuggets, A tier because of Jokic and Jamal Murray, and it sucks that they're probably going to have to lose Peyton Watson because he's also a really fun player to watch. His defense, he's really like a Men Thompson, where not the defense, but like he jumps out of the gym and he's hitting threes now. So Pacers, uh, S tier or A tier for the Pacers. Also, if you are listening on audio platforms and you want to see the full tier list, I will probably post the full tier list on socials. So go follow me everywhere. You can either search up Boxing Elbows Pod, or you can search up Mr. Allen or Ty.Allen on any platform. And you'll probably find something related to me or my content. Instagram, I would say search up Boxing Elbows. TikTok, Boxing Elbows. YouTube, it would be Mr. Allen. If you want to see the full video of this. And yeah, the Pacers are A tier because Tyrese Halliburton and their starting five is still one of the best starting fives according to Bleacher Report, and I think so in general. Are they top 4? Probably not, but top 10 definitely. Pelicans, C tier. They're not D tier because Zion is still on the team, and Zion, when he's playing, he's really fun to watch. And hopefully we get a bounce back season from DeJounte Murray. Trey Murphy the third is still fun to watch too. And I hate that they got Jamal Mosley as a coach. Like, I don't hate Jamal Mosley as a coach. Don't get me wrong. He's still a solid coach. But I just hate the fact that they went and got him. Like, I don't know. Pistons, B tier. They lost Tobias Harris, replaced him with John Collins. That was kind of sad. Didn't really upgrade. Lost Isaiah Stewart. Cade is just going to have to really backpack again. And Duran is technically not on the team. So, Raptors could be A or B depending on if they get Kawhi. But I'm just going to assume they have Kawhi. The Clippers, I'm going to assume they have Brandon Ingram on the team. Raptors, I'm going to assume they have Kawhi on the team. Rockets, B tier. KD is still on the team, so I'm going to be tuned into that. And Amin Thompson. Spurs, S tier. Going to be watching a lot of Spurs games. Am I going to be hate watching? Borderline, kind of. Because after what Wemby did to the Knicks, not like his gameplay, but his antics and him trying to hurt people, I just did not like that. Suns, Devin Booker's still on the team, so B tier. If Devin Booker wasn't on the team, it'd probably borderline D tier because they don't have Jalen Green is cool, but Devin Booker, my top favorite players in the league: Devin Booker, Kyrie Irving, Jalen Brunson, Dame is still one of my favorite players to watch, not gonna lie. Yeah, that'd probably be it. Anthony Edwards is really fun to watch too. OKC, I would put A tier. I don't think I'm gonna be tuning into a lot of OKC games as much as I would tune into Spurs games. Um, and it just feels disrespectful to put them at anywhere lower than A tier. The Warriors, because Steph Curry's still in the team, B tier. But my God, their roster is absolutely ass. It's like this genuinely might be the worst roster they had around Steph Curry, like probably ever. Like yeah, they had that play-in team, but at least that play-in team they still had D'Angelo Russell, Kelly Oubre was on the team, Draymond Green was still playing. You could convince yourself that was a still an okay team to watch, but my God, Pods at starting shooting guard, Jesus Christ. The Wizards are a weird team to rank because I don't like watching Trae Young. I like watching Anthony Davis, but he also never plays. I want to see progression from Alex Sarr. I would put them at C tier. Not gonna lie. Actually, no. I'll put them at B tier. You know why? Because this feels like a new era for the Wizards, and they actually might make the play-in and the playoffs. And I want to see the Wizards be good again, regardless of who's on the team. I just want to see them be a competent team and franchise for once. Wolves S tier. Gonna be watching Anthony Edwards and LaMelo all season long. Low key, Lakers might be S tier as well, just because of Luca. Not gonna lie. Yeah, Luca. Would the Mavericks be S tier? No. The Celtics A tier. Still gonna be watching a lot of Celtics games because they're gonna be on TV. Still a bunch. I want to see full healthy season of Tatum again. And Paul George isn't like my favorite player anymore. He was like when he was with OKC, like not my absolute favorite player, but he was one of my favorite players. But yeah, Celtics are still gonna be fun to watch next year. Hopefully Derek White bounces back too. He had a really bad season last year. But yeah, this is my tier list for watchable teams. Wow, that was really bad. So this is my tier list for every single NBA team and their watchability. The 76ers, Knicks, Spurs, Wolves, Lakers are S tier, which means I'm going to be watching them a ton next season. The Cavs, Jazz, Mavericks, Heat, Nuggets, Pacers, Raptors, Thunder, Celtics are going to be right up under them, where I'm going to be tuning into a lot of their games, but not as many as the S tier. B tier, a lot of these teams can be flexible. The Blazers can jump up if Dame is like Dame again. The Magic can jump up if they have a full healthy season. Uh, and yeah, all these other teams are gonna stay. The C tier is where I have the Clippers, Nets, and Pelicans. And then D tier is the Bucks and the Kings, who are just gonna be absolute trash next season. Um, and yeah, that's my tier list. Now, let's go to the article. Uh, so ESPN put out an article where it's what they've learned about all 30 NBA teams this offseason. And I thought it'd be fun to just go through the list. So starting off with the Hawks, what they've learned is that Zachary Risache was the biggest draft miss in years, and I wholeheartedly agree with this. I do appreciate that he gets a fresh start on the Mavericks, even though they also have a lot of wing depth from PJ Washington, Cooper Flag, Caleb Martin, what's his face, Max Christie. So they still have a lot of wings, and I don't know where Risache is gonna fit in, but he's gonna get a lot more run than he did on the Hawks for sure. I can guarantee that. And for him to be drafted number one kind of sucked, but also Alex Sarr said he just genuinely didn't want to go to the Hawks for whatever reason, but he wanted to go to the Wizards. I don't know why that was. And Castle was number 3 right? Yeah, yeah. Castle was number 3 and could have been above him, but actually should have been above him. What am I saying? Castle should have been above Risa Shea. Risa Shea probably wouldn't even make the top 10, not gonna lie. It's not that he's bad, but he ain't good either. Boston Celtics, what we've learned is the second apron can break hearts. Yes, it broke their heart trying to trade away Jaylen Brown, and to their division rival, I just don't know why they would do that. Like to this day, I still don't know what went through their minds to trade to the 76ers, no matter what player you were getting back. That just seemed like a deal you would just, like in my head, if the 76ers called for Jaylen Brown, which they obviously didn't, because if they had called, if the 76ers had called, the Celtics would have wanted probably more than uh Paul George, and the Sixers probably would have offered more than Paul George. So I think it was the Celtics just trading him to the 76ers, which they should have just played a little more hardball and made, probably should have had the 76ers call the phone at least. But, you know, it is what it is. Still got to watch Jaylen Brown in my division as a Knicks fan, so that still sucks. Paul George is a nice fit, though, on the Celtics because they like to shoot threes and he plays defense. So perfect wing option next to Tatum for the Celtics, and he fits the system. Fits Missoula Ball pretty well. Just sucks that you traded away Jaylen Brown after he had his best season of his career, top 5 in MVP voting, and Tatum was going to come back. But, when 35 to 40% of your cap was going towards 2 players, it's not necessarily a recipe to have a long-term run at a championship. So the Nets are still buying time. Yeah, Julius Randle will help them win regular season games, but he's not a long-term solution. Michael Porter Jr. said he wants to stay on the Nets, and they might sign an extension together, so he could be like the vet that they need for the next like 2 or 3 years, maybe. I don't know. Or they could sell him. But Jaeger Dem and Michael Brown Jr., who they just drafted, they're still a really young team. And they did get Keon Ellis and Mo Wagner, so a couple more vets. But this doesn't feel like the complete vision and complete roster that this team would want. Charlotte Hornets. Charlotte is dreaming bigger than LaMelo. Yeah, I figured this out after the trade. Like, yeah, the trade sucked. But then I realized they don't view LaMelo as a piece going forward that can contribute to them trying to be where they want to be, which would be hopefully to win more than one round in the playoffs. And so, like the Nets, this isn't like their complete vision yet. I think there's still more work to do with this roster surrounding Colin Knippel and Brandon Miller. And Naz Reid, like Julius Randle, will help you win regular season games and be better defensively than anybody that the Hornets had previously at that position. But it doesn't feel like this is their end-all be-all with this team. The Bulls, Caleb Wilson's arrival signals a new era, definitely. New GM, new coach, new like system with Slap. It just feels like everything with Chicago is new and this is exciting. And hopefully the Bulls can be back in the playoffs within the next like 3 to 4 years. That would be really cool. I want to see United Center rocking again. That would be really cool to watch. And the Bulls, as far as tier list goes, they would absolutely be A tier in the next like 2 or 3 years, depending on what they do with the roster. Cavaliers, Donovan Mitchell won the summer. Yeah. Got married to Coco Jones. Like, they had their wedding. That was pretty cool to watch. Signed the gross extension, like $75 million for Donovan Mitchell. Like, that just seems absurd. And that just puts in perspective, like what money is Wemby going to get? Or Wemby already got his extension, actually, never mind. But, like, Cooper Flag, what money is Cooper Flag going to get? Like, Brunson is getting $40 million, and Donovan Mitchell is gonna get almost twice as much as Jalen Brunson, which is insane because Jalen Brunson is better than Donovan Mitchell. Dallas Mavericks, Masai Ujiri got straight to work. Yeah, trading for Arisa Shea, uh, getting Kyrie back, drafting Morris Johnson Jr. was cool as well. Kyrie will return, and Dusty May is a coach. It really feels like the Mavericks are turning over a new leaf as far as like getting the Doncic trade and that behind them. Got rid of Jason Kidd, who was like the last like at least front office piece to be involved with. Well, not front office piece, but you know what I mean, like coaching staff, front office, whatever you want to say. They got rid of all the stains from the Luka Doncic trade, which I think Jason Kidd still should have been on the team, but at the same time, I think maybe Jason Kidd probably asked out as much as he loved Cooper Flag and their relationship. It just wasn't enough after the Luka trade to be like, yeah, I still want to be a coach here. Nuggets, Denver is clinging to the status quo. I think what they mean is the Nuggets are still clinging to the championship like roster team, and they're kind of far removed from that, low key. Like they were even putting Aaron Gordon in trade talks over the summer after the flame out in the playoffs. So they really, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with the Nuggets. They better re-sign Peyton Watson because I would be pissed if I was the Nuggets or a player in the Nuggets or whatever, and it's like they chose Christian Brown over Peyton Watson. Like they should have just held out on Christian Brown. Even losing Christian Brown is not the worst thing in the world. Like Peyton Watson, losing out on Peyton Watson is like shit. Whereas losing out on Christian Brown is like, yeah, you were cool on our championship run in the past 2 years, but sayonara, gotta let you go. Pistons, Cade Cunningham's life didn't get much easier. Yup. Jalen Duren's not on the team anymore. Tobias Harris you replaced with John Collins. Yeah. Isaiah Joe was a really good pickup, really good sneaky pickup, and drafting Okori at the number 17 pick was also pretty okay. But yeah, like they said, he's not gonna be a difference maker as a rookie. And they just won 60 games. I don't see how they win 60 games this year. They might be like, I could see the Pistons winning like 48 to 53 wins in that range. Warriors are waiting to find out if they, bro, you will bust, bro. Pause. Heavy on the pause. But like this roster on Curry is absolute trash. And I know they're trying to trade Jimmy Butler because he's gonna be 38 and he's coming off ACL tear. But this roster's gonna be bad, bro. Like really bad. Like they might not even make the play-in tournament. Like at the Warriors' worst, they were a play-in tournament team the last like 2 or 3 years. They might not make the playoff. They might not make the play-in tournament. The Jazz are gonna be better than them. The Blazers, well, they were better than them last year, but like Houston Rockets, Raphael Stone isn't Daryl Morey. Yeah, for some reason, um, the the Rockets aren't going all in like they used to. With Daryl Morey, like Daryl Morey's one of those GMs where he'll just go for it no matter what. And re-signing Tari Easton was cool. Shipping out Dorian Finney-Smith was okay, I guess. But they didn't really make any significant roster changes, especially the fact that, Kevin Durant's going to be a year older. I mean, we say this every year and he ends up still being Kevin Durant. So, like, that's fine. But you're relying on Fred, who's coming back from an ACL tear, who's going to be on the older side. Your offense and spacing is still not going to be great. And you just lost in the first round against the Lakers without Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves. Like, come on now. Pacers. Indiana has everything it needs for a bungee jump season. I agree with this. Zubac was a major upgrade at the center position over J Huff, and J Huff is still on the team, and he still had a really good season last year. I think he was like top 3 or 4 in blocks for the entire season. Um, Getting a healthy Halliburton, Nimhard, Neesmith will be healthy, and Carlisle is still a good coach. So I agree with this. They're gonna be back. Pacers are gonna be back. The Clippers are no longer in denial. I don't know what this means. Oh, I know what this means. The Clippers they're still trying to hold on to the fact that they were a winning franchise and they want to be competing. And so they finally just pulled the plug and said, "Yeah, we're gonna try to get some young talent in the door, and we may still compete for a playing spot, but we're not gonna try to go for it like they have the past 10 to 15 years from Chris Paul and the Lob City era to Kawhi and PG. They've gone for it every single time. The Lakers got serious about building around Luka. Absolutely. Kessler, you know, giving up that much capital for Kessler was insane. But hey, they're serious. Grizzlies. We're convinced John Morant wasn't worth trouble. Yeah, we kind of knew John Morant was gonna get traded, and to get pretty much, I wouldn't say nothing back in return because Jeremy Grant is still a serviceable NBA player, but from the trades that we drawn up for John Morant like 2 years ago to now are completely different. Miami Heat, Pat Riley still got it. Yeah, getting Giannis, that was cool. Bucks, Milwaukee, beginning of Milwaukee's pain. See, it could be the beginning of Milwaukee's pain, but like I've been saying, they could sell at the deadline and get a lot of picks and a lot of like draft capital and assets back. So I don't think they're done. Like this isn't gonna be the starting lineup for the team at the end of the season. Like they're gonna get stuff back. I can promise you that. Tim Connolly is fearless. Yeah, going for LaMelo like that, which yeah you kind of had to do, but at the same time now you have no power forward. You have like your bench is gonna be ass. Like last podcast episode, I went through their entire like roster and their bench is like absolutely ass. Pelicans are banking on Jamal Mosley, which is absolutely disgusting. I think the Pelicans would bank on a jump from Jeremiah Fears and Derek Queen more than they would bank on Jamal Mosley. Second apron is more powerful than ever. I mean, yes, but also they pretty much have the same exact roster, so I don't really know what this means. And they stayed under the second apron, which is what they wanted to do, and kept the same roster tonight, or kept the same roster. So this kind of makes sense, but also no sense. Yeah, they lost Mitchell Robinson. That was a huge blow. But Andre Drummond is still one of the best rebounders in the league, which is what Mitchell Robinson basically did. And defensively, Drummond is not great, but we saw the jump that Cat took defensively, so I'm not really worried about that end. Thunder still believes in its big three, as they should. J-Dub, fully healthy, along with Shea and Chet, should be competing with San Antonio for years to come. And they got rid of the players that just did not contribute to their team at all. Lou Dort pretty much was a non-factor the entire series. Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wiggins didn't even play. And so Cason Wallace is going to be looked upon to have more of a bigger role. AJ Mitchell, we saw what he did last year, so we expect more from him. And Jared McCain is also going to have a bigger role as well. So, yeah, they replaced Dort, Joe, and Aaron Wiggins with capital, but their team is still deep. And I would still believe that they would be in the conference finals at bare minimum against San Antonio. And one could argue, if they had J-Dub fully healthy, probably beat the Spurs and then probably beat the Knicks. Because the Knicks had no answer for Shea. Like, at least with Wemby, Cat showed that he could, not lock down Wemby, but play well enough defense to where it wasn't like an overwhelming Wemby series. I think it would have been an overwhelming Shea series, not going to lie, against the Knicks. Magic just wanted a new voice. Yeah. So they're gonna roll out the same starting five. They made no offseason changes. And yeah, they're basically banking on Sean Sweeney. The 76ers aren't Joel Embiid's team anymore. We kind of learned this last year, not gonna lie, when Joel Embiid like barely played, and then the year before that when he played 19 games, we've kind of been saying it was Maxey's team. So this is not really new information. I feel like they could have come up with a better like answer than this. Is that what is that what you view the Suns? What you've learned? How about maybe don't trade away Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal, and maybe you learn that Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal are probably bigger parts of your team than you realize. Tom Dundon has no interest in making a good first impression. Yeah, it kind of sucks that he doesn't want to spend any money, and he has basically put Mike Nori to a 1 year contract, which you never see for coaches. And this is probably the biggest story of the Blazers because, yeah, Dame's coming back, and we don't know what he's going to be like, and Ja and whatnot. But this owner is definitely not making a good first impression. Kings, draft relegation, yeah, they're going to suck again. See, you notice how I just keep skipping over the Kings because they're not a competent franchise. Victor Wembanyama followed Tim Duncan's blueprint. What do they mean by this? Um. So basically, he's saying that Victor Wembanyama copied Jalen Brunson essentially by taking a pay cut and allowing for Castle and Harper to maybe get their rookie extensions as well, which is huge. But I mean, Jalen Brunson did this first, so not really a revelation. The Raptors have two good reasons to go through with the Kawhi Leonard trade. Yeah, like from the Raptors perspective, I don't know why you don't do this trade. From the Clippers perspective, I mean, you've just wanted to get rid of Kawhi anyway at this point, and Kawhi doesn't want to be there. And you're kind of satisfied with keeping Kawhi. But for the Raptors, it's like, please do this trade. Like, the difference between Kawhi Leonard and Brandon Ingram is crazy. Darren Peterson isn't ready to play point guard. Yeah, we kind of knew this. Keontae George will be the point guard on the team. Wizards are all in on Trae Young. I wish they weren't, to be honest. Like $240 million, not 200, $200 million for 4 years. It's just insane for Trae Young, especially when the Hawks traded him away for nothing, which means they probably didn't see him as valuable as the Wizards did. Which I guess some team has to view Trae Young as more valuable than what the Hawks did, but at a $200 million valuation is insane. Yeah, those are all teams. I agree with a lot of these, to be honest. The only one I don't agree with is the Phoenix Suns. I just feel like there could have been a better answer. 76ers, I feel like that was just a cop out answer. Whoever wrote this article. Um, the Knicks, I just don't believe. Like, yes, this is a yes and no answer. Um, Pelicans, I really wish they weren't banking on Jamal Mosley. Um, yeah, no, I agree with all these. Good article by ESPN overall, though. Um, and yeah, now it's time for some WNBA talk. So the Liberty have won. Oh, how did I get all the way over here? The Liberty have won 6 of their last 7 games, and they're on a hot streak. And they're my team in the WNBA because I obviously live in New York, and I'm gonna root for all New York teams. But the Fever, my God, the Fever. What is there? There's 6 game in a row where they scored 100 points, and their offense between Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark, that trio is like nasty offensively. Like Aaliyah Boston shooting threes. Like I watched the game against the the Lynx, and Aaliyah Boston was knocking threes down like she was like she's been shooting threes her whole career. And it's like her form looks great. She hits clutch threes as well. And so when you have Aaliyah Boston shooting threes, it's like how do you guard the fever? Like Kelsey Mitchell's pencil her in for 20 points. Pencil Kaylin Clark in for at least like 7 assists. And then pencil in Aaliyah Boston for like 15 points, 11 like oh my god, this team is so nasty offensively. Now where they can improve is defensively for sure. Now they're scoring 100 points per game, but they're probably giving up around like 95. So they're winning close games a lot. But yeah, their offense has been insane. That was the story of this past week. Um, Also, what else did I wanted to say about the WNBA? Um, Olivia Miles still absolutely just dominating. She's like rookie of the year. Like give it to her like today. Um, oh yeah, I did see. So the FIBA roster for the USA for women's roster was just announced, and Ionescu was left off, but Ryan Howard was on there. I didn't 100% agree with that. Ryan Howard is still having a good season, still a good player, not gonna take that away from her. But I just feel like Sabrina is playing really well as of late, and she's not playing through any injuries anymore. And I just feel like fully healthy, I feel like she should have gotten a fair shot to be on the team over Ryan Howard. But you know, maybe there's something that we don't know, and maybe Sabrina tried out or something, and they just liked Ryan Howard better, which I would not imagine that would happen, but definitely could. What else did I want to talk about the WNBA? Hold on, let me. If I look at every team, I can because I had topics for a lot of these teams. Oh yeah, the Valkyries. They just keep on winning, bro. Like from expansion team to being third in the standings in the league, absolutely insane. Their defense is like nuts, and they're not gonna they don't have the one player to overwhelm you, but every single player in their team contributes to winning, and that's a lot more than a lot of these teams. The Dream continue to just be a team to watch out for. The Liberty, like I said, the Wings, a surprising team as well. Paige, I would love to see her in the playoffs. That would be really amazing to watch. And yeah, the Mystics also another surprise team. They're creeping up on the Liberty. The Liberty are, which is crazy to say, they're only like 6.5 games out of first place, even though the Lynx are basically unbeatable. Um, by the end of the season, I could see the Liberty maybe sneaking up to that fifth seed, hopefully. Fourth or fifth seed would be ideal for the Liberty. The Mystics still keep on winning. And they've had a lot of injuries as well too, so it's kind of surprising that they've been uh this hot during regular season. Um, and yeah, the Tempo and the Fire are expansion teams, and while the Valkyries did make the playoffs last year as an expansion team, it's unfortunate that the Fire and the Tempo did not. Um, and what else do I want to say? Um, it wasn't about expansion teams. Oh, I think that was it. I do have to sneeze, so I'm gonna end the episode here because I do not want to sneeze into this mic. Um, but yeah, that was the episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like I said, make sure to follow all the socials. Please, please, please comment on these episodes as well, whether you agree with my tier list, my rankings, and I will see you guys in the next week, next episode. It will be another action-packed episode. And I know I mentioned the Brooklyn Nets thing earlier, and that's a whole nother side project that I will be workshopping and working on, and it will be exciting once the NBA season starts, and there will be something to show for that. So definitely excited about that. Yeah, and it feels good to pod for once a week instead of trying to cram in 2 episodes per week and, you know, not be able to talk about certain things because I end episodes early. But now I can just do longer episodes per week. And I'd say around an hour and a half, hour 45 would be a good time frame for each episode each week. And yeah, I have a lot more topics and rankings and tier lists to do. So keep an eye out for those as well. Peace.